Hi everyone, Tai here. So the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro are the latest pair of true wireless earbuds from Samsung. As you can see, there's a lot of changes over the 2-year-old Buds 2 Pro, which launched in 2022, including a new $20 price increase. In this video, I want to talk about my personal experience with them, as well as how I think they stack up against the previous model, the Sony WF-1000XM5, my current favorite pair of earbuds, and of course, the AirPods Pro 2, which they've clearly taken a lot of inspiration from, even if Samsung doesn't want to admit it themselves. Let's talk about the design. Visually, I do think they took a step backwards for those of us who prefer a cleaner, stemless aesthetic. It just doesn't feel like a Samsung design to me. To be honest, it's giving me gaming earbud vibes. It's like they did a complete 180 and just tried a bunch of new stuff, with the most interesting decision being the addition of these light strips. It blinks every time you open the case. When you take them out, the lights are off by default, but squeezing both stems for a couple of seconds will keep them on. There's 3 different lighting styles because, why not? Outside of maybe nighttime visibility for runners or making them easier to find if you drop them in the dark, the lights feel very unnecessary, draws attention to your ears for no reason, and burns battery. The good news is that you don't ever have to turn them on. In terms of comfort and stability, it's a solid improvement for me. These are right up with the AirPods Pro 2 because they share a very similar shape. Slight edge to the AirPods because they're a tiny bit smaller. The Buds 2 Pro had these metal contact points for charging, which I know led to allergic reactions for some people. On the new ones, it's on the bottom of the stem, outside of the ear, so that shouldn't be an issue anymore. Now, I've always found the ear tips for the AirPods Pro to be a pain to swap out, and of course, Samsung went ahead and adopted the exact same design. I've seen a lot of posts about people tearing the ear tips while trying to take them off, so yeah, be gentle with it. I put them through my typical shake, yawn, and smile test, and there is some shifting, but for the most part, they stay put. None of these have wingtips for a more secure fit, but because the Buds 3 Pro offer best water and dust resistance rating out of the bunch, I'd probably lean towards them for workouts. The charging case has this very unique see-through tinted lid with the matching matte silver paint job on the bottom half. It's a decent case with a solid hinge that you can open and close with one hand. But my main issue with it is that the earbuds are mounted facing outwards. Why does that matter? Well, it means that every time I take the buds out of the case, I have to rotate it 180 degrees to put them in my ears. Same idea when I put the buds back into the case. You have to do this little rotation with your fingers, and I've dropped it so many times because of this. The AirPods Pro 2, on the other hand, have the earbuds facing inwards, which means you can just slide them out of the case and pop them into your ears without any of that finger gymnastics. It also has ultra wideband support and a built-in speaker for a way better location tracking if you happen to misplace it. So yeah, the AirPods Pro 2, at least in terms of the charging case, are in a league of their own. After comfort, sound is king for me. From the day I got these Sony earbuds, they've been my go-to pair just because of how good they sound. After spending several days going back and forth between the Sonys and Buds 3 Pro, I personally still prefer the Sonys, but the gap is really small. The Buds 3 Pro actually gets louder, it's punchier, and has great vocal clarity, but Sony's sound signature is just so pleasing to listen to. It's warm, yet still balanced across the entire range. Nothing seems out of place to my ears. But honestly, they go toe-to-toe, and that's a huge compliment to the Buds 3 Pro. You've also got an equalizer in the companion app if you're not completely happy with the default sound. Keep in mind, to get the absolute best audio quality out of these, you do have to pair it with a Samsung phone, because they use their own special codec. Whereas the Sony uses LDAC, which is available on every single Android phone. When it comes to noise canceling, the Galaxy Buds 2 Pro were fairly underwhelming. Thankfully, the new ones are a noticeable improvement. It does a much better job blocking out the random hums from fans, air purifiers, and things like that. It's actually quite comparable to the AirPods Pro 2, except for the fact that it's not as consistent. It seems like a software issue because noise canceling will be really good, then it'll get weaker randomly. And no, I'm not on the adaptive mode. This is on the normal active noise cancelling mode. With that being said, the Sony WF-1000XM5 has all of these beats. The passive noise cancelling on the Sonys are so good thanks to the foam tips that they're using, which do a really good job sealing in my ears. It's not as comfortable, but works really well for noise cancelling. When it comes to ambient sound mode, they all do a decent job. But the AirPods Pro 2 still do the best job of making sound like you're not using earbuds at all. The Galaxy Buds 3 Pro are actually pretty close to you, but it still amplifies sounds around you a little too much, and there's a very noticeable hum that you really notice if you're only wearing the earbud in one ear. The Sonys sound the most artificial, so it's my least favorite out of the bunch. Hate or love the design, I think most people will learn to appreciate the new controls. Instead of tapping the earbud, you squeeze the stem. I don't think the triangular shape of the stem is ideal for the squeeze though, since the way it's angled, your index finger will push the earbuds out slightly. For volume control, double tapping of the ears was actually a really clever way to add functional volume controls on the Buds 2 Pro. But swiping up and down on the stem is just way more intuitive and responsive. Not to mention, it doesn't look as awkward to do either. They've also added voice controls and it works really, really well. Alright, right now I'm going to quickly test out the voice controls just to show you guys how well it works. Play music. Stop music. Play music. Previous song. Next song. Volume up. Volume up. Volume down. The one downside is that someone could just walk right by you and say pause and your music will pause. But who in the world is going to do that?
Now, mic quality is another important aspect of earbuds that can honestly make or break the overall experience, especially if you take a lot of calls. Right now, you're listening to what the mics sound like on the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. Because of the stem design, the mics are closer to my mouth and should do a better job at picking up my voice. Right now, there's a lot going on in the background. There's tons of cars driving back and forth. So for comparison, let's do a quick sample test from all the other earbuds too, just to see how these stack up. Okay, so now you guys are listening to what the microphones sound like on the Apple AirPods Pro 2, which many consider to be the gold standard for calls. What do you guys think? Good? Bad? Once again, tons of noise going on in the background. Okay, this is what the microphone sounds like on the previous generation Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. What do you guys think? Better, worse? Is there an improvement here? And finally, we have the Sony WF-1000XM5s in my ear. How does the mic sound on these?
Samsung says these will get 6 hours with ANC on and another 20 hours from the case. I'm seeing closer to 4 to 4.5 hours, but I do have both the advanced quality options toggled on, which they do warn uses more battery. Keeping those off will probably get you closer to the 6 hours. At this point, I've lost count of the amount of controversial headlines I've seen on my Google feed about the Galaxy Buds 3 Pro. Samsung copied Apple, Samsung made AirPod knockoffs, Buds 3 Pro delayed due to quality control issues. The list goes on and on. There's been way more coverage of these versus previous Samsung earbud launches. So they're definitely getting the exposure even if it might not be for the reasons they want. It's unfortunate because when you look past the rocky start and the whole copycat label, the Buds 3 Pro are a pretty solid improvement over the previous generation in a lot of ways. The design will definitely not appeal to everyone, but it's allowed Samsung to improve things like sound quality, noise cancelling, and totally revamp the controls. If you just can't get with the stem design or the overall aesthetics, hey, I don't blame you either. As usual, thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, I'm out of here.